G'day, Michael Taylor from 64 Motorsport and welcome to my garage. I'm going to give you 5 reasons why you should buy a BMW E46 in 2020. Now it doesn't really matter what your motivation is for buying another car. Might be your first car. Maybe it's a second family car to help out with school drop-offs, getting groceries and general sort of run around. Or maybe you're looking at a project car similar to mine where you're going to do some track days or you want to put something together for show and shine meetings. Doesn't really matter what your motivation is because the BMW E46 has a model to suit all your needs. Now, the E46 BMW is the 4th generation 3 Series from BMW. It was in production from 1997 through to 2006, and in 2003-2004 there was an update version. It was available in a sedan, coupe, convertible, estate, or wagon, and a hatchback. Now the E46 also came out with a range of engine options. There was 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder, there was petrol engines, diesel engines, and as far as transmissions there was a 5-speed auto and or 5 or 6-speed manual transmission, and in the M3 it also had available the SMG gearbox, which is semi-manual gearbox. So let's get straight into it. Number 1, styling. Now I just love the styling of the E46. It has a really nice, sporty, aggressive stance, and I think that comes from the twin headlights, the typical BMW kidney-shaped grille, and the slightly flared fenders. The lines of the E46 are much softer and more rounded than the previous generation E36, which was a little bit boxy. And I think it's more a timeless design than even the current crop of BMWs, which are more angular and sharp-edged. So even though you're buying a 20-year-old car, you're not getting a car which looks like a 20-year-old car. It's still relevant and it still looks at home in the car park next to a 2020 model. So while I'm sitting on the door sill, let's get into number 2, which is features. The range of features that you're going to find will to some extent depend on what was optioned at the time that the original purchaser bought the car. But generally you're going to get such things as ABS, traction control, stability control, more airbags than you can poke a stick at. There's driver, passenger, seat, C-pillar, A-pillar, they're everywhere. Great safety features. The other things you're going to get: electric windows, electric power mirrors, heated power mirrors, electric seats with a memory control so that if you've got a couple of drivers you can each have your own program setting, rain sensing wipers, you even get a 5-stack CD player. Yeah, I know, but the good news is I was at I think Super Cheap the other day and I noticed that somebody's come out with a mobile phone holder which has got a plate on it that slides into the CD slot to secure your mobile, so you can still find a use for it. All the other features give you not only comfort but a range of safety features that make your driving experience enjoyable, but also gives you peace of mind. If it's your daughter or your son driving the car, you've got all the safety features that are going to help them and keep them safe on the road. So while we're talking about on the road, let's get on to number 3. Handling. Right out of the box, the E46 handles exquisitely. That beautifully balanced body and chassis combined with really finely tuned suspension is still regarded worldwide as one of the best handling BMWs of all time. The BMW engineers took all the great things about the previous E36 model and then fine-tuned and tweaked some of the shortcomings to produce a car in the E46 which handles and provides exquisite driver feedback like no other BMW. In fact, BMW owners now are still trying to get their later model cars to steer and handle as good as an E46. So when choosing an E46, you're not going to be disappointed by the way it handles. So after handling, we've got number 4, which is performance. Oh, number 4. Performance. As I mentioned earlier, the BMW came with a range of engine options, including 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder, auto and manual transmission. Now for my mind, the 6-cylinder is the pick of the bunch, and if you can get one, go the 3-litre version. There is also a 2-litre and a 2.5-litre, which are great engines, but the 3-litre is probably the pick. It delivers a very respectable 225 horsepower at the crank. But the great thing with the 6-cylinder engines is that BMW are masters of building and designing great performing 6-cylinder engines. All the 6-cylinder engines pull so smoothly right throughout the rev range. There doesn't seem to be any gaps, and they deliver outstanding performance when combined with that beautifully balanced suspension and chassis. See if you can get a 3-litre, that'd be my pick, but the 2 and the 2.5-litre are just as good. They just don't deliver on the horsepower, so if it's horsepower that you want, you're going to want the 3-litre version. The 3-litre is also a great engine for performance upgrades as well. You'll find a really good range of engine performance parts for the 3-litre model, probably more so than on the slightly smaller engines. Now as far as transmissions go, personally I love a manual, and when you put a manual in this really great driving car, it just adds that little bit extra. But don't be too disappointed if all you can find is an auto, or if you want an auto because all you're doing is city driving or whatever. The auto takes nothing away from that punchy 6-cylinder engine. You'll still get exactly the same smoothness and pull-in power, even if you've got the auto. The manual just adds a little bit of extra fun to the experience. Now these are great engine transmission combinations. Doesn't matter whether you're doing city driving around the streets, or highway driving, or that really fun winding country roads. The engine and the transmission and that suspension and chassis setup make it a really great, fun, enjoyable driving experience. Number 5 is our last one. Parts and servicing. So let's get on to it. So that leads us to number 5, parts and servicing. And now this might seem a bit strange because there is a perception that because it's a BMW, the parts and servicing is really expensive, and it's not. Just because you've now owned a BMW, don't think you've got to take it to BMW for parts and service. Jump onto social media and join one of the BMW owners groups, which you'll find worldwide, and ask the group who they recommend for servicing and parts. What you're looking for is a good Euro mechanic who know their way around a BMW. Now as far as parts go, the aftermarket is littered with spare parts for BMWs, and they're a fraction of the price of the original item. Now don't be worried that you're going to be sacrificing quality by going for an aftermarket part. A lot of these parts are actually made in the same factory that made the original item, so the quality is going to be just the same, and in some cases it's been slightly improved, so it's a little bit better. And the great news is they're really affordable. So as an example, I have a Colorado work truck. Now I do the servicing on that myself, and I had to buy some oil and an oil filter and some fuel filters. The oil filter for my Colorado cost me almost $40. To buy an oil filter for my E46 is $10. The fuel filters cost me almost $60, and a fuel filter for my E46 is about $30. So don't think that because it's a BMW that parts are super expensive. Just don't go to your BMW dealer to buy them. So leave me a comment. Do you agree that the E46 is still a good car to buy? And 20 years on, is it worth throwing some of your hard-earned cash at as a family car? Personally, I think it is, and it's still a really good option. And particularly here in Australia, where Ford and Holden no longer make a 6-cylinder rear-wheel drive car, the E46 in either sedan or coupe is a really great, fun, reliable and safe car to sit in your garage. Now I hope you've enjoyed my video. If you have, don't forget to hit that like button, and if you haven't subscribed, don't forget to do that and to ring the bell. But I've really enjoyed your company, and until we meet again, look after yourselves, stay safe, and TTFN.